episode of Business Focus here on TV3 with me, Michael Obodu. Coming up tonight, after months of remarkable run of stability and sustained appreciation, the Cedi has shown signs of weakness in recent weeks. The sudden slip has raised questions in the minds of businesses, consumers, and investors about whether this is a temporary blip or the beginning of renewed pressures on the local currency. Tonight on Business Focus, we engage analysts and economists to unpack the implications of this short depreciation spell and whether there's a real cause for alarm. Also ahead, we'll break down the major highlights of the World Bank's latest Ghana economic update. Well, we have details of these and many others lined up for you here on Business Focus. And do remember that Business Focus is sponsored by EcoBank and Telecel. Now, every day people face different emergencies: police emergency, fire emergency, medical emergency, you name it. But many Ghanaians don't know their emergency numbers. Well, here is one you would want to remember: star 770 hash. Yeah, star 770 hash is the new EcoBank money emergency number. Star 770 hash gives you instant access to loans, fund transfer, utility payments, airtime, and data purchases, and so much more, even without data. So there's no need to panic when you find yourself in any money emergency. EcoBank will always come to your rescue. Dial star 770 hash now for solutions to your money emergencies. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Before we delve into our topic for today, we'll turn our attention quickly to the currency, commodity market, and the T-bill market and bring you updates. Well, now, the dollar will be bought from you at 10 cedis 79 pesos, sold to you at 10 cedis 81 pesos. The pound will be bought from you at 14 cedis 59 pesos, sold to you at 14 cedis 61 pesos. The euro, on the other hand, will be bought from you at 12 cedis 60 pesos and sold to you at 12 cedis 61 pesos. But be guided that these figures will be much higher at a forex bureau near you. Now, on the commodities front, the price of cocoa is down by $79. It's trading at $8,199 per ton. Gold is also down by a little over $3. It's trading at $3,333 per ounce. But crude oil is up marginally by $0.27, trading at $66.12 per barrel. Now, on the T-bill front, the 91-day bill is going for 10.13%. The 182-day bill is going for 12.23%, and the 364-day bill going for 13.08%. But interestingly, the records show that, again, there was under-subscription from the government side on these T-bills that were auctioned. We'll explore that conversation in our subsequent bulletins. But this is Business Focus here on TV3 with me, Michael Obodu. We'll go for a quick breather. When we come back, we'll delve into our conversation for today. Stay tuned.
reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News. Leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
From the Cedi's performance over the last couple of days, some concerns about some marginal depreciation, as well as fallouts from the World Bank ninth economic report on the Ghanaian economy. In studio with me is Chona Makbelo. He is the Greater Accra chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, and also an economist. I think a lot of people don't know that you're actually an economist. Chona, thank you so much for joining us. Also joining us via Zoom is Dr. Richmond Ituahene. He's a financial analyst and astute banking professional, as well as Charles Kusi Apia Kubi. He's the head of business and economic bureau of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I'll start with you in studio, Chonam. We've seen some would you say marginal depreciation of the Cedi? Or it depends on how you choose to look at it, because as at August 1, the Cedi was trading at 10 cedis 51 pesos, according to the Bank of Ghana rates. But as we speak at the moment, this evening, it's trading at 10 cedis 81 pesos. That is about some 30 pesos depreciation over the last, say, 2 weeks. First off, for you as industry, how do you feel about this? Does it give you shivers?
Well, thank you. Good evening. Good evening to your cherished listeners, and thank you for having me in studio. So, essentially, the issue around the Cedi, it is early days yet to conclude that a marginal depreciation of the Cedi would be a cause for alarm, and so it's really early days yet. I mean, as a developing economy, we do regularly expect the movements of the currency and the fluctuation of the currency. And so it is to be expected. What AGI always calls for is the stability of the cedi. Okay, so for us, if it is 10 or if it is 12 or it is 11, we're happy to know that it is stable for a very long time. You would have realized by now that because of the stability that we have enjoyed over the years, it allows us to properly plan and do things better.
Okay.
In fact, most of our industrialists are able to import a lot of the raw materials. As I speak, there are a lot of containers at Temapo full of raw materials to come and feed industry. So really, it's a good thing. So for us, it's the stability we're asking for, and we believe that it's early days yet, and our hope is that government will continue to work on ensuring that the currency is stable over time.
Interesting. Mr. Apiakubi, do you agree with this, or you as good to have a contrary opinion? Mr. Apia? Okay, we'll try to establish connection with him. But Dr. Richmond Etuahene, you have been an astute advocate on the issue of stabilizing the cedi. How do you feel about this, would you call it marginal depreciation we are seeing? Because some would say that from where we've come, any movement whatsoever should be of some concern. Don't you agree?
Well, thank you very much. And good evening to your cherished viewers. And good evening to Chanam.
Yes, Brad.
Well, marginal depreciation, because we operate a managed float, as I don't think it is much for concern. On condition, because I think Bank of Ghana has got so much reserves, although the World Bank and the IMF is currently speaking against that. But you see, once upon a time, our import cover was 1.6 months. Today, we are talking about 4.2 months cover. So it means that Ghana has gone a long way creating the stability of the currency. So for me, the marginal depreciation does not actually worries me much, because we have what to do to intervene, and we got to intervene. Those who are saying that intervention is too much for us, I mean, we have come from less than, I think, $1 billion reserve, and we're talking about 11.1. I think if you check Bank of Ghana history, this is the biggest reserves we have had since 1957. So for me, people should not just worried about it. The problem I want to say that, is it sustainable for a longer period? If it's then sustainable, if they do the calculations and find it's sustainable, then I think it is not a worrying situation at all. Don't forget, when it comes to August, September, I think August, September, then the imports links started coming in. If you follow the trends of foreign exchange, anytime we are in August, September, you see that people are importing for Christmas. And when is it that there is a little pressure on the currency. But I don't think it's a worry at all, because from the reserves, what the governor announced about 2-3 weeks ago, 11.1, it has never happened in the history of Ghana. So I am not worried at all. All that we have to keep to make it sustainable over a longer period.
Interesting. Now, on the other hand, just a few days ago or weeks ago, we heard the Bank of Ghana announce an easing in the policy rate. After that, we've seen some 2 consecutive announcements of a likely increase in fuel prices. And now we are seeing cedi depreciation. Aren't these raising eyebrows already that we may be heading probably towards a tipping point for all the positives and the macroeconomic indicators we've seen over the period?
Well, you see, when you're talking about macroeconomic system, we have external shocks. Fortunately, the crude prices has not gone as bad as we thought. We should get that straight, because today is $66 per barrel. You see, before the war, what the Israelis started in Palestine, I think we thought it was going to go to about 80. Fortunately, production has gone up so much, the world production has gone up so that has not impacted.
Interesting one. I don't know if we have Apia Kubi now joining us via Zoom. So to pick your thoughts on what you make of the performance of the cedi over the last couple of weeks, if it's something that you as Guta are concerned about, and then also tying it now with the macroeconomic indicators that we are beginning to see with the easing of the policy rate and the likes.
All right. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. Of course, I want to conclude with some of the early submissions done by Doctor and the other gentleman in your studio. We are in a dynamic economic environment. Some of these things are expected. The only challenge is the variance of change. But when you look at a cursory change in terms of cedi depreciation to the dollar, it is something that the performance is enough to absorb that. So week to date, we are looking at cedi weakening by 3.75, but year to date is over 30% appreciation. So the economic translation is not so much huge to cause any upset in the market. And some of these things probably need to be managed. I always say forex highs sometimes have some undertoning information, hereby negative speculation. You understand that for a period, trade was asking for forex for out of teletransfer, which is delaying in the banks. Some of these lags feeding some level of speculation that there isn't much for us to meet our trade and export demand. But proper information that we were able to access from the governor, that's the Bank of Ghana governor, gave us that assurance that yes, when you talk about gross international reserves, over 11.1 billion that Dr. earlier mentioned, which of course give us a cover over 4.4 months and more import and export, gives us the assurance that such changes, such variances are not enough for anyone to complain about what is happening.
Interesting. Chonam, it's almost as if he gleaned on our earlier conversation on the fact that you as businesses were still having challenges accessing dollars. You've just heard him say over there. And he's saying that the governor has given them assurances, yet on the ground, it appears that's not the case.
Yeah, so the reality is that it's really difficult to come by hard currency. I was speaking to one of my members about 3 weeks ago. So he was trying to pay the suppliers in Korea about 300,000 UX. So he has the money in his accounts, you can see, but the commercial bank was unable to remit the money over a long period of time, simply because the manager confided in him that they don't have the money, they don't have the forex and so on. My hope is that by now it's better and that we are able to do all of these transactions. But the reality is that we have to make sure that we align monetary policy with realities of the market and expectations of the market. We are not necessarily interested in how much we've been able to get the cedi to appreciate. For us, our interest is the stability of things. Mind you, most of our people export as well. So like a member of mine who I spoke to on Friday, who is losing 40% of his revenue because of the Cedi appreciation. Because all his market is 80% foreign. And so because of the Cedi appreciation, he's losing 40% of his revenue.
At this point, is that a conversation? Is that an argument to even have?
No.
Because some would also argue that as at the time the Cedi was free falling against the dollar, they were cashing in.
Yes.
So this should just be them counting their losses as usual.
That's why we are always buttressing the point that what we need is stability. Once it's stable, it's stable, then we are sure that every labor will receive it fair pay. And really that's what the industry is asking for. And so our continual concern for the central bank is to ensure that they manage the monetary policy in a manner that allows for continuous stability so we can plan. And also that the commercial banks should actually also make a lot of loanable funds available for private sector. Because it appears that if you look at the World Bank report, it appears that there's a whole increase in buying of government papers, treasury bills and so on by the commercial banks. That you're crowding out private sector if you do that. And so the money is that to otherwise be used for loans for industrial development. You're using it to buy safe paper, 31-day treasury, 91-day treasury bills and so on. If you do that, yes, you make your profit, you declare profit for your shareholders, but industry will lack the needed funds they need to expand. At this juncture, at the history of our country where we're big on focusing on discussing the 24-hour economy and ensuring that we create jobs, and at this juncture where there are several young people who have finished university without jobs, who needs jobs? What you need now is to support manufacturing, to create the jobs. And the only way to do that is to make a lot of loanable funds available. And so the commercial banks should be incentivized enough to take the risks. In fact, the whole thing is risks, and they have to take the risks to make loans available for private sector to grow.
Interesting. Doc, you heard him talk about the issue of the realities on the ground with regards to the Forex market. You've heard the World Bank state emphatically that it feels that the Bank of Ghana is overly interfering. Do you agree with that position of the World Bank, or do you think that the Bank of Ghana is just living up to its mandate?
Yeah. No, I think it's only a caution to us that, it's a caution because like Chonam said, the way we are, it looks like all the time we talk about the imports, but if you also link the equation with exports, the exporters will not be earning as much, but you gave him an answer that they cash in. But the whole thing is that we need to manage it. And he's talking about sustainability. If you can manage it and keep the price around where it is at the moment, and the exporters know they can get this and the importers know they can get that, you're not going to get a much of problems. The only problem, the World Bank record, I've read it extensively. It cautions us about when we do that, we possibly do not help the exporters. So we need to balance the equation between the exporters and the importers. The importers are clapping. Why? Because they can access it at a cheaper price. But the exporters are not getting what it takes. So, when we talk about exporters, don't forget, all the big mining companies, they also need the cities. So if it's going to be like, if we don't manage it very well, then you're going to have a problem. But let me ask, Chonam said something, which it's in my domain, because I have been in the foreign exchange business for almost 10, 15 years before I retired to teaching. When people say that they are not able to assess it, first and foremost, what type of documentation that goes with paying for collection items? We have specific documentation that has to be made available to the authorized dealer. For the authorized dealer to go to head office, to go to Bank of Ghana and make requests for foreign exchange. Most often, the documentation which the importers bring to the banks are just inadequate. Inadequate in the sense that there are certain specific documents. If you say you have cleared the goods, is it by air? Is it by sea? One would expect you to have a bill of lading by sea, and then you have your airway bill if it came by air. And then you go through all the custom entries issues that comes with it. and then you submit it to the bank, and the bank will now make a request to the head office saying that it is not the branches that deal in foreign exchange. It is the Treasury Department of, I won't mention a bank, a head office. And then we will send the documents to Bank of Ghana and say that we need this for letters of credit, we need this for advance payment, we need this for collections. But if your documentation is not up to, it will be very difficult for Bank of Ghana to give you money. So let Chonam and his people be educated on these modalities of payment. Because if it's letters of credit, you go with a pro forma invoice. And then we'll look at the pro forma invoice, see the validation of the pro forma invoice, and then make a request. If it's for collection, we expect you to see the bill of lading and all the clearing papers, so that when we send it to Bank of Ghana, don't forget, there is a compliance there. We do it and send to Bank of Ghana, and Bank of Ghana will send you money. If you're going to pay upfront, we tell you that you can't do more than $10,000 per transaction. These days, we'll move it to $50,000. They will tell you that if you're asking for $50,000, these are the things that you bring in. But unfortunately, I can tell Chonam, I can tell you my experience, as much as possibly 50% of the documentation that comes do not meet the requirement from bank for the foreign exchange purchase. So it makes it very difficult. Some will tell you that, someone will tell you that we went there's no money. No. If you send a requisite document, I can show you within 24 to 48 hours, the central bank would have to make available money for you to pay. So that is what it is.
Chonam, you want to respond to that?
Well, it's my big brother. I can only thank him so much for his comment. But the truth is that, look, our people are very familiar with all of these documentations. And I'm talking about reality of lack of enough forest for some of these transactions. But look, once there's money, there's forest, we're happy. We just want the system to move, and we just want to make sure that the challenges we have are highly minimized over time, so that we can really do transactions.
So for you, access sustainability, that's the main thing.
Yes.
But Doc, I don't know if you can comment quickly on the sustainability. You have used that word countless number of times since you joined the show. What really would it take to make this Forex conversation sustainable in the country at the moment?
Hello?
Hello, Doc, can you hear me?
Yes, you said making it sustainable.
Yeah, what will it take to ensure that the Forex in the country at the moment is sustainable? The rate?
What it takes to make it sustainable, Chonam Group who are exporting should really be encouraged to do export. You know, all the time, we talk about currency, people who are importing. But for me, where I came from and what I did with export, I believe that we are not doing much. We are not doing much in the course of adding value to our export. I mean, if you look at, when we talk about we are not doing value, you are competing in pineapple exports, say, from Costa Rica or even Ivory Coast. We have the MD11, MD, what they call it. So we don't produce it. We don't even have it. So we are exporting little, apart from cocoa and gold. And then the remittances. We are not doing much about export. And that is where I want the government to lay emphasis. The sustainability of this currency depends on the amount of export, added export we take out, the increased remittances we receive, and the gold. And don't forget, gold is a commodity that the price can fall as low as 2,000 per ounce. Today we are very fortunate. It's 3,000 and over. What about if it drops to $1,000 per ounce? So we need a serious export diversification. Diversification. Because Ivorians are doing the same thing. Ivorians do not depend on cocoa. They depend on cocoa, coffee, pineapple, recently the oil, the palm oil, or whatever you call it. Okay. All these things are helping these countries to make their currency strong. We depend on. It was until gold came in recently, which was a monoculture, where cocoa, we all look at cocoa, and then fortunately, Addison took over, the remittances started coming, Siama came in, they are trying to tighten the knot and bolt. No, a country as ours should be doing more export because the currency depends on the amount of your export that goes.
Interesting.
It doesn't depend upon the imports that you take out.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we have been a country which have been a net importers So that anytime there's a problem with the currency, we begin to panic. But you can't see it in other jurisdictions where they are diversified the export link so that more export proceeds come in and the bank. And again, he said about, Chonam says about the policy stance of the currency coming down. Chonam, let me tell you, we have one of the highest MPL in the whole sub-region, if you don't want to know. For every 100 cities, 23.1 cities is bad. If you don't address the non-performing, because if you have 100 cities with a bank and 23 is non-performing loans, it is not due to the bank giving that bad loans. It is due to some of the issues that needs to be addressed, like contractors who have done a job for almost, according to IMF document which I have, they call it 35 billion for contractors and service providers, 2.3 billion for IPPS. All these things are outstanding, and these are translated on the high non-performing. So irrespective whether the interest rate come down, we are in a dichotomy. You bring your interest rate down, you have a high non-performing. The banks becomes to take a short-termist approach. Instead of going to real lending, they go and buy treasury bills. Today, treasury bill rate for 90 days is 10%. But the banks wouldn't be surprised. They will go there because the asset risk quality is about 100%. So let us tackle it holistically as we address the non-performing by government paying the outstanding contractors and the IPPS. The banks will get more, you get more liquid, and at times they will even come and beg for you to, Chonam, if you remember, Chonam, let me tell you, when Dr. Kufuor, the former president, I was a general manager, executive director for credit, we used to go around to beg people to come and take loans. You will remember 2006, 2007. We go around. Consumer loan came in, we were giving money because the enabling environment was there. Unfortunately, we have a high non-performing, 23, and consistently, let me tell you now, consistently from 2014 up to today, our non-performing has been ranging from 11% to 23.7%.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's affecting the lending. So we need the banks to speed up, the Bank of Ghana to help, the Minister of Finance, everybody should come on board so that these monies will be paid, and that will free the bank to support the economic recovery, which Chonam and the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce has been talking about. If we do that, we're going to see cheap credit, people taking it to expand business.
Fair point, Doc. We'll have to go for a quick break now. You are still watching Business Focus here on TV3. That was Dr. Richmond Etua, financial analyst and astute banking consultant. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with our conversation. Please don't go anywhere.
How may I help you today?
We'd like to open a bank account.
Sign here, sign here, sign here, and here. And now you draw direction to your house. I need your thumbprint. And I'll need your birth certificate too. No, I need the original.
A lot has changed since you bank like this. So have we. We've made it easier than ever to open an account online and bank on the go through our mobile app, online banking, and more. EcoBank, a better way to bank your way.
Sign here, and here.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Rent back with the beer open. Come on, come see what? Where this guy? My friend, see before.
It's the Telecel Too Much Money promo. Win cash daily, weekly, and a grand prize of 1.2 million Ghana cedis. Just reload or buy a bundle with Telecel Cash to earn points and stand a chance to win big. Dial *500# or visit the Telecel Play app to opt in and start winning in the Telecel Too Much Money promo. Terms and conditions apply. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
When is campaign? Sister, if you're baby, many schedule no. If you know.
Welcome back. This is Business Focus here on TV3 with me, Michael Obudu. Just gone by was EcoBank pensions tips as usual. And do remember that Business Focus is sponsored by EcoBank and Telecel. Now, every day people face different emergencies. Police emergency, fire emergency, medical emergency, you name it. But many Ghanaians don't know their emergency numbers. Well, here's one you'd want to remember, *770#. Yes, star 770 hash is the new EcoBank money emergency number. Star 770 hash gives you instant access to loans, fund transfer, utility payments, airtime, and data purchases, and so much more, even without data. So there's no need to panic when you find yourself in any money emergency. EcoBank will always come to your rescue. Dial star 770 hash now for solutions to your money emergencies. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Well, so we're still continuing with our conversation on the economy and the cedi and whether or not there's a cause for concern with the depreciation we've seen against the US dollar. I could see a pair of Guta. I believe you had a quick reaction to some of the things that Dr. Tuaine has been saying.
Very well, yes. Don't talk about probably assume the reason for us not able to access forest is about documentations. The fact is, it's far from that. Because as trading community, we have invested ourselves with some of the requirements when it comes to importations. Even though we have some challenges in procuring most of these documentation accurately in terms of value. But let me ask this question. If my mode of payment with my supplier, I have chosen documentary collection, where there's a transmitting bank sending documentation of the import to the receiving banks, I should not have challenges with my documentation. Therefore, my request for forest should not be delayed. The truth of the matter is Bank of Ghana is doing 7 days auction of forest. So if they are doing 7 days auction of forest, it has to mean that your transfer request will delay for about 7 days. That is an established fact. So, yes, there are some reasons, but it is not supposed to be one fixed reason, because majority of businesses, for the period that they've been in business for about decades, we have never experienced this delay in terms of forest requests for our OTTs. If we are experiencing this, there's a question mark. There is a need for better investigation so that we can find a lasting solution. You see, the delay in supplying the request of trade leaves some room for speculation, which, of course, I said early on, affects the performance of the cities. So it is important, probably, yes, we've engaged Bank of Ghana. They have given us assurance of getting themselves averted to some of the challenges so far as current trade transactions are concerned. Let me tell you what, if an individual goes to China to probably purchase some goods, maybe he cannot do 20-footer. He has to consolidate with about 6-7 people to get 20-footer container. How are you going to get the document? Because you can't have all the documents in each of your names. So there's a need for them to also understand that there are dynamics when it comes to current importation or foreign transactions. So they can probably come with some policies that will probably consolidate the dynamics within the market. If that is done, we will not be having this conversation again. Two, let me talk about non-performing loans. You see, every market has its level of affordability. The moment the market affordability is breached, you are expected to see non-performing loans. When you look at interest rate across the sub-Saharan African countries, why is Ghana interest rate so high? Is it that we don't have character? In terms of, is it that the bank don't do due diligence in assessing who is able to pay? You see, when you renege on your responsibility as a bank and you are hard hit with non-performing loans, you do not punish the general majority who have character, who have the ability to pay their loans. With those few minority who probably, because you renege on your responsibility in doing proper due diligence, have caused you hardcore businesses or loans. I always say that it is time for banks to understand that every sector, every business has its own dynamics. And you should learn the development within that market. So when you are structuring loans, you will be able to do that to meet the need and the demands of the market. When you fail to do this at the initial credit engagement, you have set the customer to fail. Two, you see, I always say that the only opportunity for any business to succeed is time. It's time. When I place a request for a facility from the bank, because I've seen an opportunity, and it takes the bank more than a month to approve the facility, and then they have to go through their condition present to drawing down after another month. But in 2 months, they get back to me, I have missed the opportunity. But you have granted me the money. I have paid money for securities, I've paid insurance, I've paid facility fees. So these are some of the things we should be looking at. So we profess to Bank of Ghana that it is not enough to be telling business that we have non-performing loans. Set an arbitration desk. Be interested to know what went wrong from the scratch between the customer and the bank. And I can tell you, some of the reasons would be that the bank did not do what is right. They did not meet the timing of the customer.
I wish the the Association of Banks were here to respond to some of the issues you are raising, but at least they are.
I'll be able to answer some of the issues.
Dr. Gianni,
I'll answer some of the issues for him. To end. We are talking about forest management, how we're able to sustain our city gains against the forest.
Yeah.
Our basic challenge as a country is our FDI laws, which allows foreign wholesalers who want to get into trading that free range to do whatever they like. Today, if you want to enter into our trading space as a foreign company, you only need $1 billion, property, plants, and equity. In terms of standardization of pricing or values of what they call plant and equipment, we do not have that optimization. So a company will come and say that I am bringing tractor, this is the value. I am bringing this is the value. So real money for investment will be less than $1 million. But when they are doing importation, their import values goes beyond even $310 million per quarter. The excess $9 million, where did they get it from? They have to overstress forest reserve made to meet demand for import and export of this country. There's the need for us to look at FDI laws that probably will structure that if you want to enter in our trading space as a foreign company, bring your corresponding forest so that you do not overburden our forest reserves. 2, we also have a floodgate for foreign expatriates repatriating their dividend, their gains, without any limitations. This, of course, at the time that they have to either pay their loans, remit their dividends, or their profits, will have to put a stress on our forests. Some of these things should be looked at so that we can probably stagger the remittance and the repatriation of foreign dividends, foreign profits, so that we do not overburden our forests. In doing that, then we'll be supporting the manufacturing sector.
Okay.
They are overburdened with a lot of taxes, high interest rates, utility tariffs high, so they cannot meet even demand outside Ghana.
It's interesting that you talk about the FDI bit, because the World Bank economic report is actually suggesting that we sort of relax the laws to encourage more foreign direct investment. So it's interesting that you're making that point. But well, Doc, I'll come back to you shortly before we wrap up. Finally, on maybe, I'm sure you want to respond to some of the things that have been mentioned, but maybe your take also on the World Bank economic report. It says that despite the fact that we are growing by 3.5%, all of these are not necessarily translating into jobs. What would it take to turn that narrative? I'll come to you, Doc, briefly on that, and then Chonam will have the final say.
Thank you very much. I mean, I first want to react to the Gupta. In my submission, I gave you the data, and I hope you can verify the data. I told you that according to the World Bank IMF Country Report 2024, it said Ghana government owns 35 billion to contractors and service providers. In addition, Ghana government owes $2.3 billion on energy debt. And I'm saying that these translate into the high non-performing. if you don't mind, I'm going to tell you 9 banks, Ghanaian banks, that are in trouble because of these non-performing. And all that I'm saying is that Chonam people go and do government business. Guta maybe do not do good government business. But if you go to AGI and Ghana National Chamber of Commerce, which I have association with them, some members take loans and go and construct roads. And it's taking them 5 years. I have a data here, 5 years. The man hasn't been paid. And if the man hasn't been paid, how would the bank not have non-performing? If you go to Ghana National Chamber of Commerce, which my friend Chonam is there, he will tell you, some people have even died. So apart from what he is saying that the banks are not doing due diligence properly, the biggest business person in Ghana is the government. Even food to students, if you remember, last year, food that has been consumed by children, they could not pay. They had to come and lobby Accra and stay in, I think, Ghana Buffett's some food stock.
Yeah.
So what we are saying that we should rather encourage the private sector. My belief is that we need the private sector to come in, especially in the production, manufacturing, and even agri.
Doc, I was thinking you would say that government must pay the private sector because that's part of stimulating the growth that you are coming to.
Exactly. The reason why the banks are, if you load the credit to the private sector, it has dwindled from 9% to, I think, 9.4% to 9.1% this year. Because the banks are constrained. But we see, when you're talking about the Guta people are not there. I'm talking about Chonam Group. Chonam will tell you, Apollo will tell you. Some have done jobs 3-5 years. They haven't been paid. They took loans from banks.
Okay. Doc.
So we need to urge the government to ring-fence it, even in the IMF document, the World Bank document you read.
Doc, it looks like we'll have to do a part 2 of this show because there's a lot more to talk about. But unfortunately, we've run out of time. But thank you so much for joining us. That was Dr. Richmond Etiahene. He's a financial economist and a banking consultant. Also in studio was Chona Makbelu, is the Ghana Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, Greater Accra chairman. And we also had Apia Kubi. He is the head of business bureau of the Ghana Union of Traders Associations. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming through. That'll be all for today's edition of Business Focus here on TV3. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for watching. As always, please stay safe. Catch you next week.
Business Focus is brought to you by EcoBank, Telecel,